which must be turned on to speak and turned off once finished. Can I ask the clerk to confirm any apologies for absence?
Thank you, Chair. Today we have apologies from Assembly Member Moema.
Now, since our last plenary meeting, the Housing Committee has examined the potential impacts of the Renters' Rights Act on London's private rented sector. The GLA Oversight Committee questioned London and Partners. The committee also published its report on cybersecurity within the public sector organisations in the wake of the TfL cyber attack in 2024. The Police and Crime Committee discussed how MOPAC oversees and requires culture change in the Met. The committee also published its report calling for MOPAC to publish an annual survey of children and young people on their experiences of and confidence in policing. The Planning and Regeneration Committee met to explore how new towns will deliver in practice after two potential sites were identified in London. And finally, the Transport Committee published its report on how TfL is building its understanding of how and why Londoners travel. This week, the Transport Committee discussed assaults on transport workers in London, and the Police and Crime Committee questioned the Deputy Mayor and the Metropolitan Police Service, along with, I believe, the Budget and Performance Committee also examined, with the Mayor, consolidated budget for 26/27. And can I just finally welcome in the gallery, I think we have journalist students from the London Metropolitan University. They're welcome. Let's return to our business. Can I ask the Assembly to note the interest set out in item 2? Do Assembly members have any other disclosable pecuniary interests which relate to items on the agenda for today's meeting, or any other relevant interest, including any declarations in relation to gifts, hospitality, which are not reflected in the authority's Register of Gifts and Hospitality? Okay, thank you. I'm moving on to 3. We now further to Standing Order 6.4. This meeting will be used principally to consider the Mayor of London's 26/27's final draft consolidated budget proposals. We welcome the Mayor, who's accompanied by his Chief of Staff, David Bellamy, and the GLA Finance Officer, Faye Hammond. I will begin by asking the Mayor to present his final budget proposals. The Assembly then will put questions to the Mayor on the budget proposals for up to 2 hours, and finally we'll move on to the debate and vote on the budget proposals later on this afternoon. The Assembly's consideration of the final draft budget is covered by the budget procedures set out in Standing Orders 6. Can I now ask the Mayor to present his final draft budget proposals? You have up to 10 minutes. But before you do so, Mr. Mayor, I've been advised by officials, and this is for everybody in this chamber. We're here to debate the Mayor's budget proposals today. As a reminder, the Assembly meeting should never be used to try and affect support for candidates in elections. Thank you for that. I now ask the Mayor to address the Assembly.
Chair, I'm relieved I took my rosette off before I came to this meeting. Good morning. This budget will take me into my 10th year as Mayor, and I'm proud that it builds on a decade of decisions that are changing lives for the better. Despite huge challenges over the last decade, London is thriving today and is now a beacon of hope for what progressive politics can achieve. As we look ahead, there's clearly much more to do, which is why this budget sets out a bold and ambitious path to continue building a fairer, safer, greener and more prosperous London for everyone. Reducing crime and making our city safer remains my top priority as Mayor. And this budget delivers a record-breaking £1.26 billion of mayoral investment in policing and crime prevention measures. This is almost £100 million more than last year's budget from City Hall alone, and more than double, 122%, the policing budget from City Hall from when I first became mayor in 2016. Our approach of being both tough on crime and tough on the causes of crime is clearly delivering real results. Last year, for example, the capital recorded the lowest number of homicides since records began, and the number of young people killed was the lowest this century. But I want us to go further, and we will. This budget sees an additional £4.5 million extra to crack down on phone theft, a new £2.4 million package of support for victims and survivors of child sexual exploitation, an additional £50 million to support vulnerable young Londoners to stay away from gangs and crime, and a further £29 million to continue tackling violence against women and girls in London. Another focus of this budget is on continuing to make our city fairer. This means providing a helping hand to Londoners to ensure everyone has the chance to reach their potential. Take free school meals. Every child in the capital deserves the best start in life, and our free school meals programme is ensuring that all state primary school children now have the energy and focus they need to succeed. Research shows that this programme has had a genuinely life-changing impact on many young Londoners. I'm proud this budget sets aside another £100 million to support the scheme over the next year. Without doubt, the new world of AI is going to impact Londoners. That's why I've created a new £20 million pot of funding to take forward recommendations from my new AI and Future of Work task force. This will help to embed AI skills in our workforce and equip Londoners with the tools they need to succeed in a fast-changing job market. This budget, like with all of mine over the past 10 years, has a major focus on tackling the housing crisis, not only to ensure investment in more of the social and affordable homes Londoners desperately need, but to ensure we can do more to reduce rough sleeping with an additional £8 million on top of the investment already announced to go towards helping young people off the streets. Chair, I'm looking forward to answering questions later on this morning, so I'll just express my thanks to the finance officers across the GLA group who've worked so hard throughout this process, and finish by saying this. We should be proud of our city, the greatest city in the world. We should be proud of the progress we've made over the last 10 years, and we should be confident with this budget we can continue building a fairer, safer, greener and more prosperous London for everyone. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, now Assembly members will put questions to the Mayor on the 8 sections of the budget, section by section, in order set out in the budget documents. Starting with the Mayor's section of the budget. The first question is from the Labour Group. Assembly Member Irani.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Mr. Mayor. So at the time of the draft budget, there was a great degree of uncertainty, particularly around the final budget figures and the unknown impact of the business rates review. Are we now more certain of this situation in the funding figures in front of us today?
Thanks for your question. Good morning. We're almost there. So since the draft budget was published, we've had the final police settlement, we've had the final local government settlement, we've had the council tax returns, we've had the business rates returns. We've managed to, by the way, lobby the government in relation to the safety net, which is really important in terms of the further decision, which is the ability of the CFO to give advice in relation to the allocation of reserves. So we've managed to make a decision since the draft publication to now to allocate further reserves, which I've set out in the final budget that I've published over the last 2 weeks. The reason why I said we're almost there is, as you'd expect me to do so, I'm still lobbying the government for more before we publish the individual budgets in March. So you never know. We may be successful, we may not.
So one of the areas that you mentioned was the police settlement, just in your response to me there. And in addition to the main police settlement grant, we've also got the Home Office grant to MOPAC of exceptional funding, 20 million. And there are, I understand there's some nationally distributed special grants that are still to be announced, and in the documents it said that yourself and the Met Commissioner are also making additional proposals to the government about other separate emerging funding streams. Can you give us an update on when you feel when those will be concluded?
So we've managed to, in this budget from City Hall, allocate a record £1.26 billion to the Met Police Service. We've also managed to persuade the government to give next year an additional £142.7 million to the Met Police Service. That's the second highest since 2010. The highest was last year. Just to remind colleagues, in the years 2010 to 2024, 14 years, we only managed to get £44 million from the Home Office. In 2 years, we've got 8 times more than that from this government. We are lobbying the government, as you've referred to, in relation to further allocations from the Home Office to the Met Police Service, for the simple reason you can't in 2 years make up 14 years worth of cuts. So we are lobbying the government in relation to what they can do. What I can't do, as you'll appreciate, is give a running commentary on those conversations. But as you'd expect, neither the Commissioner nor I will stop trying our best to get the resources we think London needs.
And in terms of the element of your budget going into the transport network, so looking at the wider budget there, it says in the documents that TfL is increasing investment into step-free schemes to progress its goals of halving the step-free journey time across the whole network, and continuing that pledge to make half of London Underground stations fully accessible. What difference will that make to Londoners?
Well, can I say you've not surprised me by, as usual, lobbying for your constituency to have step-free access. You've been very successful in the past, and the good news is we now have from the government a 4-year long-term capital deal, £2.2 billion. That gives us the certainty to invest in step-free access, but also in other capital improvements across the TfL estate. The good news is the Elizabeth line, the DLR and the trams are 100% step-free. The Overground is more than 50% step-free. We've moved the tubes from a quarter step-free when I first became mayor to more than a third. We've announced in October 17 shortlisted stations. We're going to do some feasibility work around those stations. Work's begun on a number of stations in Outer London as well. The good news, because of the 4-year deal, is we can get better value for money. And we think with a similar amount of money, we can get more stations step-free. And the other point that TfL would ask me to remind colleagues is the keenness of TfL to work with councils and the private sector by way of developers to, as part of a development, get step-free access built in as well to stations. So that's sharing the cost of the step-free. But I'm keen to make sure that public transport is what it says in the tin, transport for everyone in the public, including those who have accessibility challenges.
Okay, and you're also continuing to make the case to government for access to other pots of money for the transport network in particular, but monies that you're able to bid for that you weren't able to in the past where London was excluded. Do you have any details of the pots of money you're going for?
Yeah, so as the member referred to in the past, under the previous government, London was deliberately excluded from bidding for pots of money. To give one example of a pot available is the £1 billion towards structural repairs, important, for example, to our bridges. And so we've been told we can bid for that sum of money. We'll be working with councils. A lot of these assets, inverted commas, are owned by councils, not by TfL or the GLS. So we're working with councils to make sure their bid is as strong as possible because we've got a lot of infrastructure that's had years of neglect and need renewals, remediation and improvement.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.